And get started. We're starting in legs up the wall. In my case, my legs are up in the door, so starting in a lying down position. Open your palms to the ceiling here. Feel the flatness of the earth underneath your tailbone. Feel it drawing up to the back of your spine, your neck, to the crown of your head. Feeling the support again at that tailbone, and then feeling it as it draws up behind the hamstrings, up to the calves, the ankles, and the heels. Tuning into your awareness and feeling present in your body, allowing your breath to be natural and soft. Maybe this is the first moment of our entire day that we really sat in our awareness, became the observer of ourselves. Take your left hand and place it over your chest, over your heart center, and then take your right hand and place it over your navel. Breathing here, feeling the skin underneath your hands, feeling the warmth of your body, maybe your heartbeat. And then feeling the natural lift that the air creates in your chest and your belly as you inhale. And as you exhale, allowing this moment to be still, going inward, by also giving a stretch in the back side of those legs. And then gently removing your hands from your body and placing them on the ground. Adjust as you need. We're going to walk our legs out a little bit and find a wide stance here. Just enough so you feel a stretch on the inside of those thighs. Maybe you feel a stretch on the outside. Straightening through those knees, keeping those legs active. We can practice pointing the toes away from us. Really stretching through those arches as we flex our toes. Toes may crack like mine. Finding some movement in those ankles. Finding awareness in those toes, feet, every little bone and tendon in your body. From here, we're going to walk the heels of our feet together, allowing for our knees to bend. You can shift your lower back as you need. Adjust so you have a natural C curve in that lower spine. Allowing the sacrum to rest on the earth. If you want, you can grab your shins or keep your hands on the ground. You can keep your legs where they are. Or if this bend doesn't feel good at all, you can go back the legs up the wall. But if we're here and want a little bit deeper of a stretch today, go ahead and bring those heels towards your groin, allowing those knees to open. Tuning into any sensations you feel in this area of your body where you're experiencing a stretch, and send your breath. you light your hands on your heart and your belly, go ahead and return that. Feel your body underneath you again, the sensation of your skin, the warmth, the touch. And releasing our hands, using our hands to guide our legs back up those walls, the wall. Go ahead and straighten out those feet. Just give an inch my bum closer to the wall, aiming to get my sits bones on the wall if possible. Flex through your feet, activating the legs here, drawing your knees towards your hips, navel to spine. Taking a bend in your right knee, let's bring that right ankle to rest on the right thigh or left thigh. If we're comfortable here, let's stay here. If we want to try something else, let's go ahead and grab that right shin and open up that leg. We want the top of that right thigh resting on the outside of our right side of our rib cage. Hugging it into our body, we can nestle it into our elbow and draw it a little bit more open, keeping that left leg straight and active, activating through that left quad, finding your breath. And slowly releasing, bringing that heel back to rest. Into that thigh, if we want, we can walk the heel closer to that left hip joint and draw our right knee towards the wall. Using your hands only as a gentle pressure if you need a little bit more of a stretch. But we don't want to get to the point of any sharp pain. And releasing, allowing that right foot to come back up the wall. Activating through that right leg. Go ahead and bend the left knee. Bring that left ankle to rest on the right thigh. Noticing if you feel any similarities or differences between sides today. How are you feeling in your body? If you want a little bit more, we're going to grab outside of that left knee and walk that left thigh outside of our left rib cage, hugging it into our side body. Finding your breath. Releasing our ankle back to that right leg and walk the heel a little bit closer to that right hip. A little gentle pressure on the left knee. And then releasing that left leg. Staying here for another breath or two. And then slowly walking our feet down. Getting up comfortably to a seated position on the mat. From here, I'm going to adjust my mat. And if you're in a space that you need to move your mat, now's a good time to do it. All right. So yesterday we were in a bridge pose. Today we're going to also utilize that bridge pose. So what we're going to try is, if you have a block, grabbing it and bringing it close, coming down onto our back, rolling onto the top of your thoracic spine, moving any meat around that needs to be moved. From here, we're going to grab our block and put it under our right foot. Heels are close to the glutes here. And if you don't have a block, perfectly fine, just feet on the earth. So from here, we're going to lift up our hips, really press into that block with our right foot, and maybe come onto the toes with the left, finding evenness through those hips, those glutes. If we want, we can walk the hands underneath us, giving us a balance, clasping your hands underneath your bum. Staying here with those left toes lifted, or if you want a little bit more, go ahead and point the toes of the left foot to the sky. Waking up those glutes and that back body, reminding them why we're here today. And then lower, back down. Taking a breath here. And then lifting through those hips, becoming active, pressing through that right foot onto the block or the earth, and lift that left leg to the sky. Really sending those hips to the ceiling, pressing off through the earth. And exhale, lowering down. Go ahead and walk those arms from underneath you. Take the block on the left side, finding it under your left foot. And from here, pressing through those hands, lifting the hips to the ceiling, maybe coming up on your right toes, navel to spine. If you like the variation with your hands clasped underneath you, find that again as you press off of that left foot, point that right leg to the sky, really lift through those glutes. Sending your breath where you need it. And exhale, lower back down. Keeping those toes on the mat, keeping your hips lifted, pressing through that left foot. Lift again. Your gaze is soft. Pass the toes on the ceiling. Draw that left knee just slightly in. And lowering back down. Release the arms. Move the block off to the side. And hug the knees into your chest. Let's find a happy baby, grabbing outsides of those feet. Let's practice stretching out one leg at a time, reaching that right foot to the ceiling. Allow that left leg to fall open so your inner left thigh is hugging the outside of your left rib cage. And then Bring for the same on the right side as you extend your left, alternating. You can also rock side to side, finding movements, feeling through your body, feeling where to send your breath. On the left side, coming back to center, and releasing it down. Let's grab underneath our thighs, rock and roll to the top of our mat. Coming in to tabletop position, meeting me here, we're going to go into cat-cow. So here we're going to stack shoulders right over our wrists onto the earth. Knees are under our hips. Tops of feet on the mat. Micro bend in the elbows if you are hyper flexible like me, hyper mobile. As we inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift our heart and head to the sky. Exhale, tuck the tail forward for cat pose. Inhale. Allowing your pelvis to lead you in this moment. Working on your own breath. Coming back to neutral after your next exhale. Walk your knees out. Wide as the mat. Bring your toes to touch and sink it back for child's pose. We can walk our hands out in front of us, or we can bend the elbows and find our hands in chair and prayer pose behind our head. Really sinking it in here, allowing those shoulder blades to open up. Allowing your hips to sink deeper on your exhalations. And releasing your hands to the mat on your next exhale. Pressing your way up, coming into a tabletop. Grounding through those L's of your hands, your thumbs and your forefingers. Really press into the mat. Tuck your toes. Send your hips to the sky. First downward dog of this practice. Bend your knees a great amount and allow your belly to rest on the tops of your thighs. And from here, straighten the legs as much as you can, keeping a bend if you need it. Reaching those heels towards the back of the room and to the earth. And if your heels don't touch the ground, that's a-okay today and every day. Allowing your practice to really be what it is. And looking forward with a bend in our knees, we're going to tiptoe to the front of our mat. Grab opposite elbows and hang here. Ragdoll. Swaying side to side. A bend in your knees as much as you need. Sending your hands to the earth, walking them to your shins or up to your thighs. Don't stop on your knees. Present your heart and inhale, look forward. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, lower all the way down to the earth. Lower the tops of the feet to the mat. Use your hands to press your chest away from the earth. Look forward into Cobra. This is your Vinyasa flow. Tuck your toes. Shift back into downward facing dog. Lift right leg to the sky. Step it through. Lower left knee down to the earth. Crescent lunge. Allow that left hip to open. Pinkies roll in towards one another as we open through the back body. And on your next exhale, framing that right foot. Lift those left toes. Send your right leg to the sky. Drop it down. Downward facing dog. Bending our knees a good amount. Hop. Step or float to the front of our mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, present your heart. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, find your chaturanga or vinyasa flow. Meeting in downward facing dog. Inhaling left leg to the sky. Exhale, step it through, lower right knee, crescent lunge. Sinking into that right hip. And on your next exhale, framing that left foot. Sending that left leg back to the sky. Bringing it down. Downward facing dog. Finding a breath here. And coming to the front of our mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale. Fold over. Finding your vinyasa flow. Meeting in downward facing dog. Right leg lifts to the sky. Bending that right knee forward. Bring it to the earth right behind that right palm. Release that left knee and tap a foot to the mat. Here we can have two blocks if we need for pigeon pose. Send a look back to your left toes, making sure they're pointed towards the back of the room. If we don't have blocks, we can stay here. If we want a little bit more, stay where you are if you like. Otherwise, we're going to recline our pigeon, releasing our top body to the earth, bringing forehead to mat. You can also bring a block or two to the mat and bring your head to the block. And if you don't have a block, and this is a little bit too much, but you want to recline, stack your wrists, stack your hands in fists, elbows out to the side, and rest your palm. Breathing here, sending your breath to that right hip. Another variation would be to slide a blanket under your right hip here while we're reclined for extra support. Slowly working our way up. Removing a blanket if you had one on hand. Pressing through those hands and those left toes to send that right leg to the sky in three-legged dog. Lower it down. Downward facing dog. Looking forward and float into the top of your mat. Reverse swan dive up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Finding our breath. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, plant our hands. Exhale, find your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. And lifting our left leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Bending that left knee through. Bring it to rest behind our left palm. Really allowing our hips to open up here. As we're here, making sure our toes are pointed towards the back of the room. Using a block if we need, otherwise using our fingertips. Here's a good place to have blankets or pillows underneath your hips for a little bit more support. And if you like, on your next exhale, go ahead and recline. You can also stay on your forearms if you don't want to bring your forehead to touch anything. Staying here if it feels good, or lowering all the way down. Noticing any sensations in the body, any differences or similarities on either side that you have in this pose. And utilizing props and support wherever you need. Removing the blanket or support that you have and starting to walk yourself back up. Planting through those hands to tuck those toes and send that left leg to the sky. Lower it down. Downward facing dog. Let's go ahead and bring the knees to the mat in child's pose. This time we're going to have them hip distance apart. Send our hips back. Walk our arms to our side and rest the third eye onto the earth. If you like your hands in prayer behind your head, go ahead and do that again. Feeling grounded, present, and aware. Acknowledging that you are an observer in this practice. Starting to come up out of it, walking our hands to the tabletop, tucking our toes and sending our hips back, finding our downward facing dog. Pedaling out to feet if you like here. Feels good to me. Inhale, shift your weight forward to high plank. Exhale, find your chaturanga. Meeting in down dog. Bending our knees and looking forward as we hop to the front of the mat, ever so effortlessly. And then we're going to roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae. I guess that was kind of combining both, but tuck your chin to your chest, and as you come up, chin is the last thing, head is the last thing to come up. Go ahead and shake it out. Bring. All right, so we're going to come into tree pose. So shake it out, shaking out your legs, grabbing a drink of water if you need. Finding yourself in Tadasana. You can stay on the front of your mat. I just shifted so you can see me better. Planting through that left foot, finding all four edges, corners of that left foot as we draw our weight down into the earth. Lift your toes and lower them back down. From here, we can bring our hands to our hips if it's helpful and come onto the tiptoes of the right leg. Staying here, if this is in your practice, and if we're able to go farther, we're going to grab our right foot and draw it into the inside of our right thigh. Another variation is to leave the foot resting on that left inner calf. In our practice, we're going to come higher, staying here for tree pose. Here's where we should find our drishti. So gaze softly at something that's not moving in your room, that's in your line of sight. So with our hands, we can bring our hands to heart center. Both hands. You can reach our hands to the side. You can reach them up overhead. It's up to you. What feels good in your body? You can find a mudra with your fingers. I have an ocean view right now, so I'm just staring at the big blue ocean. The waves aren't staying still, but they're really nice to look at. I don't get this in a yoga studio. Keeping active in that left leg, lift that left knee towards your hip. Staying strong. And when you're ready, grabbing that right foot, feel it away from that thigh and help it guide to the earth. Go ahead and shake it out. Finding our strength in that right side. Planting through that right foot, lift the toes, lower them down. Finding a good foundation. This is the root of your tree. Coming up onto the left toes. left calf, or all the way up. Finding your drishti or gaze, lengthening, straightening out through the spine, reach your crown towards the top of the room. Find where you like your hands. And once we're arrived, tuning into your breath if you haven't already. Noticing any shifts in the balance from one side to the other. No two tree trunks are the same. And then slowly allowing that left foot to float back to the earth, shaking out your feet. All right. You should be at the top of your mat. If you came to the middle, we're going to go work our way back to the top of the mat like where I am. Move myself a little bit close to the door now, but inhaling, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Feet are hip distance apart here. Navel to spine. We're going to inhale into a chair pose. Let's get one of those in before we go down to the mat. Sinking it low, looking down, making sure you can see your toes, that your knees aren't in front of your toes. Go ahead and lift all 10 toes, lower them back to the earth, reaching those arms long, reaching those fingers towards the ceiling of the room, and roll your pinkies towards one another. Straighten through that spine and sink it lower. Navel to spine if it isn't. And lower your hands to the mat. Step it back. Find your vinyasa flow. I'm feeling great after yesterday's warm-up flow. All right, and we're going to bring the knees to the earth. You can place a blanket under your knees if you like a little bit more support here. But we're going to put the top of the right foot in the arch of that left as we sit back. And while we're here, you're going to feel that pressure from the inside of that left foot. If this is too much, go ahead and undo the feet. But allowing the sensations, the breath to go to where you need it in your foot. We don't want any sharp pains, but you might feel a little uncomfortableness as it's not a usual sensation for us to press onto these points of our feet. Waking up different areas of our body, increasing our self-awareness. One more breath here. Walking your hands forward just so we can shift our feet. Left top of our foot goes into that right arch. Sit it back. Feeling the pressure points. If you notice any points are more sensitive than the others, I encourage you to go online and look up reflexology and find out which organs are associated with that point on the bottom of your foot. Or it might feel all around uncomfortable. That's okay too. I'm feeling all the sensations. Bring our hands to the earth, uncrossing those feet, walking our knees back, keeping them about hip distance apart. You can take your fists, put them right between your knees, making sure they're aligned as we come up. Or if you have a block too, this is a great way to get your block in. Should fit right up in there. No, it might not. You might have to pull some meat out of the way. I just did. So either we're squeezing through the block or we're energetically pressing our knees down and towards one another to activate those inner thighs. Toes are straight, back behind us on the mat. From here, we can find our arms in cactus arms and open our chest, just finding a slight back bend. We want to bring our hands together like we do in bridge pose, opening through the chest, navel to spine. Staying in cactus arms, always moving and modifying what's best for your body. Another variation here would be to go into camel pose if it's in your practice. It's not in mine as of yet, so I'm staying here. Go ahead and release that block. Bringing those legs underneath us. Finding ourselves in a boat pose. First we'll bring our feet to the mat. Walk our sits bones. Standing on our sits bones here, sort of like tippy toes, but sits bones. And let's go ahead and reach our arms out away. You know what? If you have a block, let's throw that between our thighs. Squeezing on that block. Arms out in front of us. Lift one leg off the mat. Lift both. I'm the instructor, so I have to do both, right? All right. Maybe energetically bringing your knees closer to your chin. Squeezing through those inner thighs. Neck is long, chest is open. Stay here if you like. I'm going to lower my feet back to the ground. And then removing that block. Lowering to the earth, vertebrae by vertebrae. Ooh. Yes, everyone. Hug knees into the chest. Roll side to side. Getting ready for our final pose in Shavasana. Extend your legs out away from you. Point your toes up first, then reach your arms overhead. Stretch them to the wall behind you. Good morning stretch. And then release it, arms to the side. Just fall open. Allow those bones to go where they want. As open as your muscles allow. And release it to the mat. And go ahead and close off the eyes. Tuning into your breath. Feeling heavy. Breathe into the space between your eyebrows. Breathe into your ears. Breathe into your chin. Breathe into the center of your chest, into your shoulders, elbows, wrists, and fingertips. Breathe into your belly button, to your pelvis, to your knees, to your shins, ankles, heels, toes, arches. Allow yourself to surrender for the next few moments. awareness back into our body, present in our flesh and our bones. Maybe making some small movements. Gently waking up to this time and place. When you're ready, bending one knee at a time to hug your knees into your chest, giving yourself a hug. As you roll over onto one side in fetal position, and gently press your way up into a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed. Join me with hands at heart center. Taking a nice inhale and exhale together. Inhaling through the nose. And I'm going to place in you that is of love and light, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Namaste. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Have a great rest of your day.